Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Angela. And here's her story, and this is Angela Akon. Akon, are you for real? Here's her story. Hi, Ollie. I just wanted to say thank you for your YouTube channel and videos. The videos have really helped me a lot with understanding narcissism. The knowledge has greatly helped me in my professional career as a paralegal for a criminal defense attorney. To be honest, when I first got into this career, I had not intended to work in criminal law practice. For years, I had never found my destiny in life, as I just wanted to survive, earn a living, and recover from my own narcissistic abuse. It wasn't easy because, being a scapegoat child of a narcissistic mother and a codependent personality disordered father, it appeared as though the odds of me becoming a success in life were heavily stacked against me. My mother made no secret that she hated me. I remember her telling me when I was a kid, "I hate you. I wish that you were never born. I should have had an abortion instead of having you." One time my mother and I fought over a ceramic swan that I had found in someone's trash. I was 11 years old, and my mother and I fought over the swan like two girls fighting over a doll. I ran up the stairs, and my mom ran after me. She caught me on the stairs and sunk her teeth into my right buttock cheek and bit me. Yeah, Drunkie is a biter, too. Drunkie is a biter. When she lost it, when she just lost all control, she'd bite. And then I'd bite back. I had no choice but to give her my swan. My father, who is now deceased, once told me, "You're a big nothing." At least I had some encouragement from my grandmother, who always encouraged me to follow my dreams, and that my life mattered, and that I was loved. Even so, I made major mistakes in my youth because I was trying to escape narcissism and looking for a way out of my horrible life. I dropped out of high school, had 2 kids by the time I was 19 years old, and by 21 years old got divorced with no education, no money, plus 2 children to support as a single mother. I pulled myself together, went back to school, and turned my life around. I knew I was not a loser and that I was determined to make a life for myself without anyone's help. I paid for my own education and worked very, very hard. It all paid off, but it took years. Anyway, our firm was retained on the Duncan Round daycare sexual abuse case. The police, now this is in Philly, everyone. The police went on the evening news, and the story was presented that Duncan Round sexually abused 2 children at his daycare called Sprouts Philly Kids Gym. The Rounds had retained our law firm because of my boss's knowledge of being a child advocate attorney for abused kids and also his experience in criminal law. As the case started to unfold and we received the discovery, the evidence strongly suggested that this man was innocent of the charges and that this was a false sex abuse case. Based on my knowledge of dealing with false sex abuse cases, the underlying root cause of the false sex abuse is always the narcissist. With these types of cases, clients tend to be very difficult to work with because the charges against them are false and they are facing long prison sentences if convicted. They absolutely freak out, and it is hard to keep them calm and focused. Serious problems developed between my boss and the client, and it got to the point where the client just couldn't communicate with my boss without it turning into a screaming match. I sat at my desk observing all this, feeling helpless and didn't know what to do. I continued to review the evidence, and I could see that there was something very wrong. I shared my thoughts with my boss and showed him the evidence that I had found. So the question was, why are these kids saying that our client sexually abused them? I knew we needed more information, but the communication with the client and my boss had deteriorated so badly, I began to worry that we might miss critical evidence. Here's the problem with lawyers. I mean, lawyers do tend to be very arrogant and have a streak of narcissism themselves. So, and a lot of times they have a hard time putting themselves in the position of, now, if you're somebody like Duncan, who's being accused of sexually assaulting children and you didn't do it, like I'd be screaming bloody murder too. Based on my research of the case, I knew that I had to find out more. My boss did not authorize me to work with these clients, and I was faced with a difficult decision. Do I go undercover in search of the truth and risk losing my job, or do I say nothing and potentially risk having this case go to trial and the client possibly going to jail for life? I decided to just go for it. So I get in my car and drive to the client's house, which is 2 hours away. Luckily, they were home and answered the door. I talked to the client and his wife, and I explained the judicial process is slow, but we're doing everything we can to get the charges dropped. I told them that my boss really cares, but he must remain objective. Otherwise, we can't serve our client. We can't service our clients. I gave them my cell phone number and told them that whatever they wanted to tell me, I would listen and pass the information along to my boss. I asked them to just back off my boss and that I would help them with whatever they needed. I also started asking a lot of questions, and it really made all the difference. I worked undercover for months trying to find out the underlying root cause of why these kids were saying these things. Then I discovered that what we were dealing with was a malignant narcissist. These people had an agenda, and it is believed that the underlying root cause of the sexual abuse allegations was money. There was quite a bit of fraud going on with these people, and the evidence that I found strongly suggested that these people were used as pawns in a scheme to score a windfall against our client. I also discovered that these people crossed many boundaries that only a narcissist would cross. Worse yet, the news media falsely reported the story, which hurt the clients and destroyed their business. As a result of the media reports, the Rounds were harassed by their neighbors. The daycare was shut down by the state, and 5 teachers lost their jobs. They lost thousands of dollars of equipment, which was seized inside the daycare by police. With the evidence at hand and the lawyer's presentation to the district attorney, who is fucking corrupt, is the current Philly DA is corrupt as the day is long, and he is one of these uber social justice warriors. I'm going to tell you what I really think on the DA's part of this is about. I'm going to tell you. With the evidence at hand and the lawyer's presentation to the district attorney, they discharged the case without going to trial. Everyone was so happy. We did it. But what did you do? It should have never gotten that far, because this is shitty fucking police work. This is shitty police work, and these are politically motivated prosecutors who did this. Because the answers to this were all there, Angela. Okay, the police, the DA, they have far more resources than you do. Okay, and they could have found this out about Duncan and the accusers and their history and how bad it was. But they didn't want to. No, they forced you to do it. They did what they did. I'm going to tell you why in a bit when we get to the end of this. Everyone was so happy. We did it. The Duncan Round case is the only sexual abuse case against the daycare in U.S. history where the charges were dropped without going to trial. If you look at past daycare sexual abuse cases of the 1980s, all of them went to trial. Most of the accused were convicted and had their cases overturned on appeal. The only case which was a successful acquittal was Ray Buckley in the McMartin preschool sexual abuse case in the late 1980s. But again, that case went to trial. To this day, I must remain undercover working with clients to fight false sexual abuse. This wasn't the first case where it happened, and it won't be the last. Although most false sexual abuse cases are parental alienation cases. They are very exhausting cases for the attorneys and legal staff. I do not want any recognition for my work. All I want is to help the innocent and to help bring these narcissists to justice. These people have to pay for their crimes against the innocent. With a false sexual abuse case, it is critical to find out the motive of the accuser with all sexual abuse cases. The presumption of innocence is lost. Basically, the law persecutes the innocent to protect the innocent. It's a nightmare, but it's my passion. No, the law persecutes the innocent to protect the truly guilty in this. The law persecutes the innocent to protect the guilty. Now, we know there's plenty of sexual abuse going on with children everywhere. It's just not happening in daycares, by and large. There's physical abuse. I mean, there are bad daycares. But when they're caught on camera, how come when these daycares are caught on camera abusing, it's always physical abuse, verbal abuse? You never see anything sexual. Because I don't think the sexual abuse is adequate, is this big issue. We're almost at the end, and I'm going to give you my wrap up here. It's a nightmare, but it's my passion. Right now, everything is unsettled, and there is still some loose ends to tie up, but we want a big victory. And she wrote me this a couple of weeks ago, and we held off until everything was expunged. Now, everything has been expunged off Duncan's record. It's a struggle of good versus evil, and I continue to work undercover with clients to help save their lives. I'm hoping that more people will subscribe to my YouTube channel because if I get some revenue money from YouTube, it would greatly help me with my expenses in continuing to fight false sexual abuse. Your story of my life with narcissistic parents greatly helped me crack this case. Thanks again. Akon, are you for real? Angela. And you guys all know Angela. I've been talking about doing videos for Angela basically from the very beginning. I mean, Angela is probably one of my longest subscribers. She was there before I probably had 50. And she's been there with me forever. So I appreciate her, and this makes me feel good. But let me tell you what happened here in Philly. You know, a couple of years back, if you remember, because there was just a movie about it. You know, Philly had this case with Kermit Gosnell, the guy who was doing late-term abortions, where he was full-term babies, stabbing them in severing their spinal cord with it was horrible. He had baby parts. I mean, the Philly police went in there on some kind of health thing, and they found this, and the whole thing snowballed. And they didn't really want to prosecute, but they didn't prosecute it, but they didn't have a choice. They had to, and they never, ever, ever got that taste out of their mouth with their SJWs and their left wing. And when they have when political prosecutors have the opportunity to even a political score, which you know in their heart of hearts that they believe these theories, they're going to do it. Most of these guys end up having to take a plea because they're so afraid of having to spend the rest of their lives in prison. They'll just say they'll take a couple of years, and completely innocent men because we'll plead guilty because of what the system does that puts them up against. I mean, if you want to see it on a federal scale, look up Andrew Weissman. Look at his prosecutorial record. A lot of prosecutors are just thugs with badges. That's all they are. Thug lawyers with badges. The police could have found this out in 5 minutes. You didn't have to do. You shouldn't have never had to have done this. And here's the thing. If you're going to get to the point as prosecutors that you have to drop a case outright that the guy has been arrested and charged for, this must have been presented to a grand jury if it got this far. And getting a jury, you can indict a ham sandwich at a grand jury. It's the prosecutor just telling the grand jury whatever he wants to tell them, and boom, indictment. How does it get this far? And you got to drop charges because it was never investigated. Because the system is set up to be used as a weapon. It's not a system of justice. It's a system of weaponization. They could have cared less about Duncan Rounds, this prosecutor. They cared about what he represented. They cared about the attention it brought for a while. They cared about getting their pound of flesh politically to kind of even the score. And you didn't think I'm crazy, but that Kermit Gosnell case flipped out the SJW crowd in Philadelphia. Like they tried to bury it, they tried to ignore it. People were pissed, like, how dare you prosecute this guy? So when they have the opportunity to switch the narrative on one that's more fitting for them, they're going to do it. The good thing is, here's the good thing. In 2019, with the internet and YouTube and Facebook and all the social medias and all the technology and all the access we have, it's becoming harder and harder and harder to set people up to keep the truth from coming out. It's harder and harder it's nearly impossible. It's really why they haven't been able to start another full-scale like war overseas, whether it be Syria or going back into Iraq or now Venezuela, because they can't get away with their lies anymore. Which is why they want to crack down on social media. And Angela realizes that she can use her YouTube channel to help people. I mean, that's what I realize. I mean, I always hope that my YouTube channel gives somebody knowledge that it's gonna pay off in a beneficial way somewhere down the road. So this is very inspiring. I mean, I'm glad. I really am. And you guys know how I feel about sexual abuse on children and all that. But when it's bullshit, there's nothing worse than something than when it's bullshit. And Angela's right. These sexual abuse allegations against daycares never pan out. Never pan out. They're the racial hoax. They're the old school racial hoax. And now when you see, some kind of hate crime, somebody scrawled, wrote the N-word, slashed tires, said this guy N-word get out, F get out, Jews, swastika here. It's never real. It's never real. And when you look up and you say, wow, there was a lot of sexual abuse daycare cases, and you look up and then you look it up and like, wow, none of them have ever been they're hardly ever convicted, or they're dropped, and because they usually end up, somebody's looking for money, somebody's pissed off, somebody's lying, and that somebody is always a narcissist. But this couldn't be possible if we weren't in, if societal narcissism wasn't run amok at this point. And you have, and a lot of times, that the Justice Department, that justice prosecutes the innocent to protect the guilty. So thank God there's people like Angela out there, you know, and I'm glad she's been a part of my channel for so long and helps out the way she does. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Angela, thank you again for all your support and sending this in, and congratulations on what you did for Duncan and helping and doing the cops and the prosecutor's job for them. So thank you. Thank you, everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance.